I now recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good morning. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the debate regarding the risks and benefits of a type of high-risk research, specifically what is known as gain-of-function research. Prior to the pandemic, the public was largely unaware of the existence of this area of research, let alone the fact that they were funding it. I know I first heard of it during our COVID lockdown while researching how we might treat patients suffering from this unique and deadly virus. In 2014, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, awarded EcoHealth Alliance, Inc., a grant entitled Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence. This grant included the collecting of novel coronaviruses from bats and conducting research on those novel viruses using laboratory mice. The laboratory work, where this research was actually occurring, was outsourced by EcoHealth Alliance to the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. Dr. Daszak, who is here before us, is the president of EcoHealth. Today, the Select Subcommittee released a report regarding EcoHealth and the evidence surrounding its research activities. This report highlights the Select Subcommittee's concerns with EcoHealth as an organization and Dr. Daszak's interactions with federal agencies and foreign entities, such as the Wuhan Institute of Virology. We have found that EcoHealth was nearly 2 years late in submitting a routine progress report to NIH, that EcoHealth failed to report, as required, a potentially dangerous experiment conducted at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, that EcoHealth used taxpayer dollars to facilitate risky gain-of-function research, and that Dr. Daszak omitted a material fact regarding his access to unanalyzed virus samples and sequences at the WIV, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, in his successful effort to have his grant reinstated by NIH. These are only a few of our findings, which are detailed in our interim report issued today, and will be further explored in the Select Subcommittee's final report. Dr. Daszak has been less than cooperative with the Select Subcommittee, and he's been slow to produce requested documents, and has used semantics with the definition of gain-of-function research, even in his previous testimony. Dr. Daszak maintains that EcoHealth never conducted gain-of-function research by shifting definitions of this area of research put forth by regulatory agencies. I believe Dr. Daszak either cannot or will not distinguish between the common understanding of gain-of-function research and the more technical definitions provided under various and narrowly defined regulatory frameworks. But facts are facts. Research can be gain-of-function without meeting these somewhat convoluted and often hard to understand frameworks that only regulate a very minute subset of research. So minute that HHS has only ever reviewed 3 proposals out of thousands it receives every year. Using highly technical definitions in order to assert that a certain project really isn't gain-of-function research, when most others would suggest, as well as confirm in their testimonies before the Select Subcommittee, that it absolutely is gain-of-function, comes across disingenuous. Comes across as a disingenuous attempt of avoiding questions and accountability. The fact is that, as most people understand it, EcoHealth was absolutely conducting gain-of-function research, specifically in Wuhan, China. Unfortunately, Dr. Daszak's problematic behavior is not limited to his less than fulsome cooperation or the risky research that he conducted. Recently released documents display Dr. Daszak communicating with Dr. David Morens, who was senior advisor to then NIAID director, Dr. Fauci, and doing so through private channels to avoid FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. Dr. Daszak and Dr. Morens shared information, ideas, and strategies about how to best proceed to reobtain funding for this risky research after Dr. Michael Lauer had terminated Dr. Daszak's grant. Dr. Morens provided Dr. Daszak with internal NIH deliberations and discussions concerning the suspension of EcoHealth's grant, along with assurances that Dr. Fauci and NIAID would seek to mitigate the damage done to EcoHealth. On April 16, 2024, I announced a subpoena to Dr. Morens for documents in his email relating to the origins of COVID-19. Yesterday, Dr. Morens produced 30,000 pages of emails. Emails from his Gmail account, which he said he had used to avoid FOIA. So this investigation does not end today. Dr. Daszak told Dr. Morens in these private communications that he still had 15,000 samples, quote, in freezers in Wuhan, end quote, and had not yet analyzed more than 700 coronaviruses he had identified in those samples. EcoHealth has lamented, quote, the negative impact on U.S. national security, end quote, posed by their inability to sequence all the samples at the WIV. But EcoHealth's actions themselves are a threat to national security. Dr. Daszak has displayed a disregard for the risks associated with gain-of-function research, the congressional oversight process, and the federal grant process. Dr. Daszak has proven that he's not a responsible steward of the American people's tax dollars. We see no reason that the American people should be paying for EcoHealth's research or any other work Dr. Daszak conducts. Dr. Rees, I believe we agree on this, and there may be a path forward. And let me be clear, I support global health research. I support work that will make the world safer. That's why we are investigating all of this. Our concern is that this research, and research similar, does the opposite. It puts the world at the risk of a pandemic, something even Dr. Fauci addressed as far back as 2012 in an interview. Dr. Daszak, before I close, and as someone who has been shot at and someone who has received threats, I want to tell you that we unequivocally condemn all threats to you. To you, any public health official, scientist, anyone else. That is wrong and intolerable. I look forward at this point to an engaging and on-topic discussion. Thank you, and I would now like to recognize Ranking Member Ruiz for the purpose of making an opening statement.
Thank you.